Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Coffee Break, a podcast of Riverside County Child Support Services. My name is Nathan Hartel, Deputy Director, and thankfully, back with me this morning is
Bruce Wagner. I'm the Chief Attorney here at the Department of Child Support Services. Good morning, Nathan, and it's good to not see you, but hear you.
It's good to hear your voice as well. And good morning to you. This is our first opportunity to co-host a full-length podcast episode again since our final episode of season 1. And there's a pretty obvious reason for that. COVID-19 has happened to everybody, and that means a whole bunch of different things for everyone in their personal life, their work life. It's just really kind of turned everything upside down, hasn't it?
That it definitely has. So what we're doing this morning is we are remotely telepodcasting from my kitchen. I have my coffee, and I'm ready to go. How about you, Nathan?
Yeah, I'm at home as well. I've got my coffee. It's almost gone. I started it a little bit too early, but yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm glad that we figured out how to make this happen, and we're able to get going on another podcast episode. And I think before we kind of get started with the topic of what we wanted to go over this morning, I wanted to just kind of address what is happening in our world today. And this is our first opportunity really to speak to our customers together. And so I know from both of us to them, we hope they're all doing well. We hope they're staying safe, whether it's job impacts or whether it's health. There's just a lot of uncertainty out there right now. And so hopefully this podcast episode finds you guys all doing well.
Yeah, and I second that. And interestingly, this is our first episode of season 2.
It is. It's our first full episode. We did a couple, actually maybe it was 3 espresso shots. These are mini episodes. They're not a full length 20 to 30 minute episode. These were just very specific topics. We did one on tax season, and we did that, I want to say it was days before all this with COVID-19 happened, days before everybody had to shift to telecommuting and office closure, which we'll talk about in a second. And then we wanted to seize the moment and talk about some things that were really impacting our customers in real time, which was, we felt like we needed to get some information out about the court. And so you addressed that in an espresso shot episode. And then I felt like I needed to get some information out on stimulus payments that were coming from the federal government and what that would mean for child support. So we did those things, but we got, just about a 8 to 10 minute, bit of information out. And yeah, this is our first chance to be back together and spend a little bit more time with our audience. So I'm excited for that.
Yes, yeah, so am I. And this episode we'll cover a few general topics. I think we're going to delve into some of the enforcement remedies that we've changed a little bit. I'll talk about what's going on with our courts. I think, Nathan, you were going to be talking about some impacts on that this coronavirus has had on our customer service.
That's right. Yeah. And really, even how we're approaching this podcast episode is also an example of how COVID-19 has impacted everything. We had our entire set list, if you will, ready to go for, what episode we'd be covering, and, do an entire episode just talking about enforcement actions and enforcement remedies and really diving into all those details. And we're going to do that a little bit this morning, but COVID-19 has made it so we, need to kind of pivot and adjust and make some changes even in the podcast to what we're talking about, because we want it to be relevant and timely to our customers. So using that as a jumping off point, let's talk about just some of the basics, office closures. So for child support services, most of our customers probably know by now because, we've been doing this for about 2 months already. It's crazy to think that it's been going on that long and it's still going on. But our Indio, Blythe, and Riverside offices have been closed to the public that entire time, and they continue to be closed to the public with one exception, and that's letting 1 or maybe 2 customers into the lobby to make a payment at our kiosk. So we don't have staff in the office to physically see customers and sit down with them one-on-one, and that's something we've not been able to do for about 2 months now. Originally, it was just our Riverside office that even had the ability to stay open for customers to come in and make a payment at the kiosk, but thankfully, as of the 15th of May of this month, our Indio and Blythe offices are also open for folks to come in and make a payment. So that's been a pretty big adjustment. Our customers have been able, thankfully, to still get in touch with us. We obviously have phone And we have our chat live feature on our website, which has been really, really helpful. But I think the main thing I'd want our customers to know is, despite the fact that our physical office buildings are closed to you, that doesn't mean that we as an agency or a staff are closed to you. And we are working at full capacity. We have our staff telecommuting from home, and they are able to completely manage our customers' cases remotely from where they are. So you can rest assured that we're still taking care of business, still addressing the things that need to get done, just like with everything else today, with a little bit of a twist.
I think that last point you made is one of the most important, is that those that have cases in our office should be aware that we are doing everything that we did before. We're just not doing it in person. So whatever needs you have that the Department of Child Support Services can help you with, by all means, let us know. Contact us. And as Nathan said, don't come into the office to do that. Call us, email us, get on our website, and you can have your needs met, whatever it has to do with child support. Now, I will also mention, since Nathan, you were talking about the closures of our facilities, same holds true with our courtroom facilities. Our 12th Street Meet and Confer office, over in Hemet, our Meet and Confer office, which is right next to the courthouse. And in India, our attorneys actually meet with the public inside the courthouse. So all of those have been closed, and they are going to remain closed still for probably about a couple of months or so. And when I talk about what's going on with the courts, I'll get into more details about what happens or what our customers should do if they have a court hearing date.
That sounds good. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the other locations, Hemet and Riverside, and your comment about the court. So while I won't speak to that, that does bring up the reality that, yes, we are working and we are managing our customers' cases, but there have been adjustments, there have been impacts to what we do. Some of it is when we can do things. Let's talk even just about the payment kiosks. So one of the things that happens is, customers, can come in to make that payment at the kiosk. That's fine. But not being able to physically come in sometimes makes it so that people need to kind of shift their thinking about payments. And people are being pushed to other payment opportunities, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But we are seeing a rise in MoneyGram, Pay Near Me, PayPal. So there are other ways to make your child support payments. And I guess on the one hand, like this podcast too, right? I'm thankful for the technology that we can do this. And I'm thankful for those other opportunities for people to make payments, because no one has to think, well, the office is closed, therefore I can't make my child support payment. That's not true. There are many opportunities for you to do that. But speaking of payments, this is one of the biggest things that happened, I would say, within the first days or, within the first week of COVID-19 happening and our office shifting to telecommuting is, we recognized immediately that our communication with our customers needed to be very sensitive, and we needed to be very careful about what those conversations were like. So here's the reality, right, is that as the Department of Child Support Services, our job is to collect child support. And part of what we do to collect child support is we pick up the phone, we call our customers, and some of those phone calls are saying, hey, we've noticed that maybe you are making part of your payment, but you're not making the whole thing. Can you make a payment today? Can you increase that payment? So, we do our job to stay in contact with our customers and sometimes have to ask those tough questions. We recognized immediately that how we approach those phone calls needed to change, because COVID-19 was changing people's lives almost immediately. And so our focus, is to call a customer and just really open the door to a conversation. And so that's what we're hoping our customers are experiencing right now, is interactions with our staff where we're saying, how are you doing? How has this impacted you? Tell us what's going on in your life. And then let's take those facts, that information about your circumstances, and then let's look at that in the context of your child support case. And, maybe really the direction and the strategy that needs to happen with that case is a modification of a court order rather than, asking for an extra payment. We've had to kind of recognize the impact that COVID-19 is having to our customers and adjust or enhance, our thinking about how to address those topics, what it means for our customers. A lot of people are out of work. So that was something that happened really early on in terms of our impact to our customers and our interaction with them. So that's been pretty significant for us.
Yeah, and I think it's been pretty significant for everybody, and especially for our customers who are on the paying end of the court order. Many people have lost their jobs, and unfortunately, when you have bills to pay and you have no income, you're sort of between a rock and a hard place. What do you do? So we try to balance the needs of both our paying customers and the customers who are receiving the child support. As far as some of the enforcement remedies that we are doing right now, I think Nathan, you can probably get into a little bit more detail about this since you know about it more. But things like bank levies, driver's license suspensions, those enforcement mechanisms have been loosened up a little bit, haven't they?
They have, and that was also pretty early on in the process. And these things not only were coming from Riverside County Child Support, but also coming from the state, California Department of Child Support Services. And we didn't want to make things harder for our customer. Bank levies are a regular part of what we do, and our customers will know that if they have a past due child support balance and they have a bank account, it's possible that they have received a notice from that bank saying, hey, your funds have been frozen. Child Support Services has put a levy on those funds, and then there's a process that takes place for having to deal with getting some or all of that money released. And so we have suppressed all of the submission that happens in the computer system to have those levies take place. So that's been paused. The other thing that we're doing is being very, very generous and liberal in releasing any already suspended licenses. We want to make sure that we're not a hindrance to anybody finding employment or continuing employment. So while that's always our desire, prior to COVID-19, there'd be a little bit more of a back and forth or a negotiation, I would say, about what was needed in order to get that bank levy released or that driver's license or even a professional license released. Really, right now, we just want to make things as easy as we can in those areas for our customers, so that they don't have an additional roadblock to deal with. So that's been pretty significant as well.
I think it has been pretty significant. For those who have questions about their driver's license, if it has been suspended, or if you have a question about a bank levy or really any enforcement that we do at the Department of Child Support Services, give us a call. Call center, it's 866-901-3212. And explain your situation, and we will work with either parent fullest extent that we can to make this situation that we're all in a little bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we move on to the court impact, what you said made me think of something. You hear a lot right now in the news about whether it's student loan, whether it's mortgage relief, even auto loans. I'm hearing, there's a lot of different programs and things out there right now because of COVID-19 to help people who are having a hard time making the payments. And, I want to think about that in the context of child support and kind of, ask the question, rhetorically and answer it. Is child support doing the same thing? So if you're one of our customers and you're struggling to make those payments, can you call us up and ask, for example, to have your payments stop for 3 months? I know that's some of the things that are going on out there with other companies. The answer to that is no. And the reason why is because we still have to abide by the court-ordered child support obligations. So we cannot administratively on our own hear your situation and decide to just not charge you your child support obligation. But that doesn't mean that what you said a minute ago is really not just as critical. You've got to pick up the phone. You got to call us, because even though we can't just stop doing those things, we can help you with the process, and we can help you find your way to a modification with the court. We can help you get that amount lowered if that's what the court deems is appropriate. In addition to that, just staying in contact. We can make notes on your child support case about the fact that you are being present and involved in your case, and you're contacting us and asking for assistance. So even though child support world is a little bit different than some of those other companies and obligations where they're able to just say you don't have to pay for a few months, that doesn't change the fact that you want to stay in contact with us as much as you can.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point, Nathan. We don't have any control over existing court orders. So if a parent is ordered to pay a certain amount each month, we can't just on our own say, don't worry about it, because it is a court order. However, we can help parents modify their orders. It's critical for either parent, whatever their changes are, to contact us, let us know, so that we can start working on setting a modification and getting the child support to an appropriate amount. A lot of times that can be done without actually going to court. If both parents agree on a certain amount, then we can usually facilitate agreements without setting up a court date. But if we do have to set up a court date, that's something we will definitely do as quickly as we can, so that the situation that our parents find themselves in can be addressed by our agency as far as their child support goes.
Right. So can I ask a follow-up question, kind of related to that, and this will get us into the area of you being able to provide an update on what's going on with the court. We talk about how we're continuing to provide our services, but then you do have the court who has been closed. So one of our services, as you just mentioned, and we've talked about it a couple times this morning, is modifications. So how does that get done then practically for a customer if the court is closed?
Well, it gets done the same way it was done before. The only difference is now we've just finished up about a month and a half of the court being closed and not accepting any of our pleadings, any of our paperwork. So we haven't been able to get those filed with the court. However, we are still working on them, and if we have received requests for modification, we're prepared to file them. Coincidentally, as of yesterday, our courts opened up for purposes of allowing our agency to file the documentation on behalf of our participants. So that was a big thing for us.
Yeah,
we can
that's a
now
big deal.
Oh yeah, definitely a big deal. We were kind of biting the bullet there, waiting for them to open up, for the court to open up, so we could take care of that. There's a lot of reasons why the sooner the better, as far as opening the court goes. But that was taken care of yesterday. We are now able to file everything with the court, which puts us on a much better track to take care of our customers who need modifications. And if a court hearing date is set for our customers, we will be going forward on those court hearings. The only thing is we'll be doing it by way of telephone. And we're going to be doing this until the court actually opens up. And for us, that means mid-July. But in the meantime, our attorneys and our court staff who help out with the court matters, the meet and confers, the attempts to resolve cases for participants who have cases on calendar, that goes on, but it goes on by way of telephone. So one thing I want to throw in here, Nathan, and this is a question that I think has come up over and over and over again over the past month and a half or so, is, well, what do I do if I have a court date? Do I go over to 12th Street? Do I go into Hemet? Do I go over to Larson Justice Center in Indio? The answer is no. If you have a court hearing date on the Department of Child Support Services calendar, our staff will contact you. And they will try to contact you a day or two before your hearing if it's possible. But they will definitely contact you on the day of the hearing by way of telephone. So it's really important to make sure all of your contact information is up to date. Your email address, your telephone information, your home address, all of that information you want to make sure is updated with the Department of Child Support Services prior to the court date, so that we can reach you and we can talk to you about your court order. Go ahead.
Mine reminds me of is, you always hear about the importance of preparing, for an emergency and making sure that you have certain things updated or taken care of. And it's not much different, right? We always speak to, and we have done this on our season 1 podcast episodes, we speak to the importance of customers being in contact with us, the importance of having updated information, sharing changes in your circumstances, even having the basics, like having your phone number, updated with us. And it's situations like this is exactly why. So all the things that are important now during COVID-19 are the exact same things that were important before. It's just really shining a light on the fact that those basics and those fundamentals of staying in contact and keeping your information current with us becomes even more important and more pressing, for different reasons. Because, the way we are communicating and reaching out to people, for example, like you were mentioning, wanting to let them know not to show up, at a particular location for a hearing. So I just thought I would mention that it's kind of just enforcing and re-emphasizing for us that all those things we say are important during regular times, they still hold true. And this is exactly why we ask people to do those things and to not fall out of contact with us, because you never know when something like this is going to come up, and we want to be able to communicate effectively and timely with our customers.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right about that, Nathan. It's just so important that we can get a hold of our customers when we have to talk to them about something. We have to give them some information. We have to update them about something. Yeah, in general, please make sure that your information is updated with the Department of Child Support Services. And if you do have an upcoming court hearing date, just be prepared on the date of your hearing to receive that call from our attorney or our court staff, and we will be going through your case with you. So that means if your issue on our court calendar is a modification, have your financial information prepared, have your expenses, your expense declaration completed, filled out, and ready to talk about what kind of visitation arrangement you have with your other parent. Make sure you have that in place. All of those are important factors to quickly resolve your modification. The sooner we can resolve a modification, the sooner we can get that new court order filed to replace the old court order that is probably now for many people obsolete and does need to be changed.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the reasons that those orders might be obsolete is because of the issue of unemployment right now. And so all it takes is for someone to be reading the newspaper or watching the news, and that the unemployment rate is just going through the roof right now. And so that's a very sad fact and a sad reality of the circumstances that we're in and the byproduct of COVID-19 and the impact that that's had on the economy. So, we've already covered, kind of what the customer's response needs to be, stay in touch with us, work toward a modification. But the other thing I wanted to point out about the unemployment, because this is a similar question I think that people had about the stimulus payments that were coming from the federal government. So if someone is wanting to know, are you, as child support, going to withhold money out of my unemployment benefits? The answer is yes, we are, and that's the way it has always been set up. So unemployment benefits distributed now versus prior to COVID-19, the Department of Child Support Services will take 25% of that unemployment benefit to go toward the child support obligation. So I think it's important to have that information out there for our customers.
I agree with that. With the stimulus package, a lot of people are receiving additional unemployment benefits to what the state is providing. So that combined amount is actually open to garnishment of up to 25%. I'm not sure if the state has set up a mechanism yet to garnish the full 25% of both unemployment benefits, but I believe if they haven't, then it is sometime soon.
Yeah, and the stimulus payments, we did our espresso shot episode on that, so we won't belabor that point. But it's worth taking just a quick second to remind people that child support was not excluded from the list of obligations where that stimulus payment would not be withheld. So unfortunately, if those folks have received that payment, and a lot of that has already happened, it's possible there are still some people out there that are waiting for a paper check. But for those that were going to get the stimulus payment and it was coming through by direct deposit, that pretty much has happened already. And if you had a child support obligation and past due child support, that was going to be intercepted. The biggest change there that the state of California for child support was able to make was that those monies were going to be filtered to the family first, rather than paying back past due child support to the government first. So that is something we were at least able to see realized. Bruce, as we're talking about all this stuff, and I know we've covered a lot, but I wanted to kind of close us out with, this question and just see what your thoughts are. What's next? Where do we go from here? What's coming next? Even the topics that we've covered in this episode, our office availability, the court enforcement. I mean, what's happening next with what seems to be a daily or weekly updating, kind of situation with COVID-19? What can our customers expect?
Well, I think our customers can continue to expect good customer service, even though it's going to be through electronic means or by telephone. I don't think any of us know when we're going to go back to where we were before with full in-house services available. I think safety for the public, safety for our staff is number one. And until we're absolutely certain that both the public and our staff can remain safe, I don't see that we'll be back to where we were prior to the pandemic hitting. And I think that's a good thing. And I think our staff has done an outstanding job in getting past the difficulties of working in this type of environment. I want to do a little shout out to our staff, give them a big thumbs up. They have been outstanding. They've done a great job. Other than that, I don't really have anything else to add. I just want to wish everybody, safety. Protect yourselves, protect others. I, for one, don't leave the house without wearing a mask. I know that's maybe not the case for everybody, but I think we have to be vigilant. We have to make sure that we beat this thing, and until there's the science available or the medicine available to take care of it, then we have to watch out for ourselves, for our family, and for those around us.
Yeah, and I think that the one thing we can definitely say about what's next and what does the future hold is that it's not going to look exactly like it did before COVID-19. And so, as a department, we're going to be doing our very best to make sure that that's not a bad thing for customers. That we are looking for new and innovative ways to reach out and to connect to our customers. So, it's also important for people to know that we are wading through all of this just like everybody else is. And the County of Riverside will use, what the governor has in place for the stages to reopen as its starting point, and they will work through that process. And then, departments such as ours will take our lead from there, and we will be doing everything that we can when that day comes to allow customers back into our building to make sure it's a safe environment. There's really nowhere you can go right now that pretty much looks like it did before. You can go to a store and you've got plexiglass in between you and a cashier, for example. So things are changing, but one of the ways that we are changing with the times to try to continue to provide valuable information and resources to our customers. Having said that, it's a lot of information that we've covered, but my coffee cup is empty. Bruce, it's been a pleasure talking with you this morning. Glad we were able to do this virtually. And looking forward to our next episode.
Yes, same with me, Nathan. It's good to be back. My coffee cup is empty as well, and I look forward to our next podcast, which hopefully won't be as long as it was for since the last one. Now that we have this telepodcast set up, we have a lot of information that we want to get out to the public. Tune in. We should have more information for you in the very near future.
That's right. And for our listeners, please remember to subscribe to our podcast so that you can be notified of new episodes. Feel free to share that information with those that may want to listen to it. Check our website at riversidechildsupport.com, which has a host of information regarding COVID-19, office availability. It also has a link to all the updates from state child support, which has a great reference for frequently asked questions related to COVID-19. So feel free to check that out, and would encourage you all to take advantage of the live virtual workshop this week on May 21st. So thank you, and we will talk to you again soon.